All right, we're recording. We're now getting up to, we're almost on, oh, Lauren, I still struggled with the hands. Office hours number 7. We are missing one of the key team members today. Vatsal Shah, CTO, technology leader, IoT magician, an all around good guy. He has a wonderful friend who has just moved here from India, and they're spending some time down at the water in Toronto. It's a crispy, sunny day, but also still cold. So I hope that they are okay. And we're happy to be here. I was saying that I was prepared to do this completely alone, but I'm blessed to be in the presence of Timothy and Lauren. Very happy to hear. Lauren has his eye is falling off as I was saying that. And we have a couple things that we want to talk about. I hope this isn't getting redundant for anyone, but we're going to start with this transcript editor because it's all in our mind right now. We had another delivery of transcripts this week, and there's been some significant improvements that we've been making both internally within the application, but then also for our transcribing team. And then Lauren's having some fun doing some transcripts right now too, as well as some QA and quality assurance. So, Timothy, I know this is top of mind for you. I'll let you kick it off and let me know if you have any thoughts specifically you want to go through.
Sure, Tyler. Thank you. It's good to be here. 7th office hours. So I'm leading the development of this transcript editor through. It's essentially been a in-app editor, such as you would start editing the sentence on your media transcript that is automatically transcribed already for you with our analysis. And it grown out of this and came to be part of our one-stop solution for your media analysis. And as we've started transcribing more and more media, we needed to scale this up. And we found beautiful platforms to rely on and connected with so many people, so many transcribers, professionals in their field. And we're providing them with with access to this small application inside of one of our products, well, inside of Speak AI. But now it had grown out of it, and Vatsal just recently created a new code base, which is not going to say how many code bases we do have, but it's one more, and it's a good honor to have started it. And it's a totally new part of our product now. We have a completely dedicated application for transcript edition, and we do hope that this will not only enable scalably transcribe hundreds of audio in less than several days for our customers, but as well as that we'd have a much larger audience of customers from this. Tyler, what would you?
No, that was great. I'm trying to think what to add. We had even a wonderful team that I've been talking with for years, and they have a big qualitative research project coming up. And what was really interesting is they want to use our system to help them with the qualitative research process. But they actually have some students. Oh, I keep saying actually. Fill the word signal. They have students and trainees that they want to help do the qualitative analysis, and that actually includes cleaning up the transcript. So what was really interesting there is we've actually provided the platform through and through, which is help give them the first run through at automated analysis and transcript, not even having to rely on us to organize the transcribers. They actually have an internal team of students, and they can use our product to clean it up to 100% very quickly and efficiently. So that was really exciting. Like you said, it's almost a separate product. And amount of work that has gone into this transcript editor deserves its own code base, deserves its own sort of set in a product suite that we actually have. And I think Lauren and Vatsal and I talked about this a little bit. in our last one, but the first experiences of our transcript editor were completely miserable. So it's slowly getting better. There's some really interesting things that I'm finding are different from the embed that we're sending to our transcription team versus what's actually in the app. Lauren just touched on one of them, which is the find and replace of all speakers. And this has been a really interesting challenge. Speaker identification is a difficult technical task and thing to complete. So one of our questions is, if we want to ensure that for the human augmented transcription that it's fully accurate, do we let the speaker identification that's automatically generated, do we let it sit there? That was one stage we did, but then we found out we weren't getting speakers back properly. And then we had one where it was replace all. If you change one and it was lined up, still didn't get back accurate speaker labels. And now we've gone and made that much more manual process, and the accuracy we've seen has taken a significant jump. So there's sometimes you can rely on machines, sometimes you cannot rely on machines, and really trying to bridge that human computer symbiosis that we're trying to create through this system. And again, sounds sort of technical and boring, but I find it quite romantic and exciting.
Lauren, been a cyborg for the past couple of hours. How's the experience, Lauren?
Yeah, how do you feel, Lauren?
Well, it's been pretty good. I was thinking, other than that, it's just the minor noise that has to come up every time. But I think like what could help would be that like just at the very beginning when you're about to start transcribing, just ask you the ones like, oh, we have speaker 1, speaker 2. What would you like to name them as? And then we'll just switch that all the way through. Because every time you go through and you notice that like, oh, this name's wrong, you switch it. And then it's like, oh, do you want to switch all of them? It's like, no, I already did that. And if I do that now, then it's just going to screw everything up.
Yeah.
Another idea I had as far as like just keeping track of like when changes happen for like the names. Because like when you're transcribing, you're going through like a sea of words constantly. So like having to keep an eye out for like when one word change, like their name changes, and that's wrong, makes it a bit difficult because I can understand that you can just breeze right past it when you're on a roll. So maybe another way we can get around that is to maybe color code each of the individual squares. So you'll notice that like maybe it's don't make it like super like bright or like super like noticeable, because there's could be problems with like color, what's the word again, color blindness. So maybe you can't actually see what's being written there just because the color is too intense or whatever. But we can look into that some more, just so you can see like whenever the speaker changes, you'll see like, oh, okay, I have to pay attention and make sure that this is the right color at that point, instead of just making sure you're not paying attention to the little words here and there.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I like that we're all becoming our own users of our own products, so we can do user interviews on each other. We talked quickly before this was about a Control Z option, which I think would be wonderful. Technically, we haven't figured out how to accomplish that yet, but it would be fantastic. And then the one thing that you're sort of touching on, Lauren, that I'm questioning too is like that there's a term that appears in the transcript that you change once, and you see instances of that same spelling error, or the machine didn't understand it the first time, and there's 25 instances of that. You shouldn't really have to change those manually throughout. So how can you, like, do we color code that? That's like, hey, you've changed this word before, and like a little light highlight of, maybe it's a click and automatically change it. I don't know if a full automatic replace would be too aggressive, but some things there of like, I really love the perspective of our team where it's like rely on the technology and humans, and then automate as much as we can to make it as efficient and powerful for the actual end user.
Yep. That's a beautiful thought, and it's a difficult task as well for the technical team. It's the implementation of this we really are thinking about end customers and the ones who will be using the system, and it's produces so much impact as well.
Yeah, and I think maybe we'll could touch on we got some good insight, got some good stuff out of there already. And again, very specific audience who likes hearing about this stuff, but I swear they're out there. They will enjoy this. I'm wondering, Lauren, maybe the second part, which Tim hasn't maybe had as much exposure to, but you and I have also been doing some quality assurance. So I'd love to hear any feedback you have on that process. I said to you one thing yesterday, which really has helped me, is like putting it on two times speed or 1.5 speed. and then just basically listening back. And because our transcribers are doing such a great job, there's minimal error, at least in the ones that are getting completed successfully. And even at 1.5 to 2 times speed, reviewing, it's quite easy, and then takes a 30-minute down to, if I'm doing math right, 15 minutes or kind of thing. So that, I thought that was a beautiful process. Just one thing that would be nice in it would be, and I don't know how far or if that's possible, but like we have the auto scroll with the gray line over when you listen back in the app, and you can see what line really easily. Sometimes when I was going too fast, I got lost a little bit, so I had to restart at a spot. Just one beautiful part that's different from the in-app versus the actual transcript embedder. When you put your cursor on a line or you start typing, it will stop playing, which is great, especially when you're listening to it two times speed, because you're like, oh, click, stop. It gives you the time to process, and then you can make the necessary change.
I like that a lot too. It'd be nice though when you, I don't know. I'm not sure if I can't remember how it exactly works, but after you click on the line to the actual spot that you want to edit, and then you click play, I don't think it plays back directly from where you stopped it originally. I could be wrong though. Maybe I'm just trying to remember something else though. But yeah, I don't know.
It's becoming a blur. You've seen a lot of transcript.
I gotta write it down and make sure. But,
yeah. No, that's I think there's a lot of room for there's still a lot of room for improvement, but again, I just think of the first experiences and the pain and the suffering that was involved and how much better it is. Like I actually, if I have a short video or audio clip, I'm very happy to sit there and edit it myself now, because it's so quick, and maybe there's some bias, but it gives me joy to do it. And Lauren, you like a writer, and you're also do accounting, and so like you like seeing things well done. Like to me, there's nothing better than when I'm doing some quick QA, not quick, thorough QA, like I just can go for like 5 minutes without making a change. Like that makes me so happy. I just feel good. That means we've made a system that was good. The transcriber did an awesome job, and we're then delivering a final end product that our customer is going to be very happy with. So quite exciting. Things are weird when you get older, Tim. You get a little older, weird things excite you. I never thought I'd be growing up. Just so excited about things like this. But anything else that we want to add? Transcript Editor, quality assurance, anything else you guys are thinking about that?
There's still like a lot of thought to be done about quality assurance, because really the only thing we can do is just read through it and check and make sure it's good. But yeah, there should probably be some sort of process for that. Like maybe there should be more. I'm still on the idea of the whole check mark idea, and that gives you a percentage of how confident you are that it's 100%.
Yeah, and the other part is the scale of it. Like I've said too, and one of these topics that we might talk about a little bit later if we have time, we've spent a good 20 minutes on this, which is great, is like one of my fears is actually like say this salesperson is successful, and they onboard an organization, and that organization has 400 hours per month that they need human transcribe. That's a lot. Lauren, you don't have 400 hours in a week, so it's like you and I cannot do that QA. So really scaling up our quality assurance mechanism is important, especially if an organization is putting the trust in us to switch from a previous transcriber or something that they had used over to us, and then making sure that we're actually delivering high quality. Like that's a big responsibility that we're taking on, and we're going to need to figure out how to do that at a large scale, both from a transcriber perspective and then from a quality assurance perspective.
I don't have enough time for all of that, so I'll have to hire some more people.
Oh, we've got a late joiner. Looks like the man himself. I don't know. I saw him grabbing the charger. I didn't know he was planning on joining, but that's great. Yes. So Lauren, Vatzel, you made it. You came running back from the water. Look at him.
I made it. Yes. And also I missed that chance. Like, okay, I have to make it somehow.
Oh, so
I just went from the Harbourfront directly.
You didn't run. Now you'll be sweating. How was the Harbourfront?
It was awesome. It's always nice to see near to the water. It's something is there, so it's always feels good after going there. So
is your friend here still? Is he gone?
yeah,
Is he?
he's
Okay.
still here.
Okay. So we were pretty deep on a conversation because it was sort of top of mind. Transcript editor, transcript delivery, quality assurance. I was saying I know we've had a couple of discussions in a very specific audience who likes these topics, but we talked about some of more of the technical changes that we've made. I don't know if there's too much more we want to add, or if there's just any thoughts that you have, after this week or as we move forward. One of the things that I said just last was. What happens if, for example, our sales representative is really successful, brings on an organization who has 200, 400 hours a month that they want transcribed? What happens then? So I don't know if you have any thoughts, but I'll let you bring any insights in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's okay. That's a very good point to point at the question. So the point is like if we came across around that many of hours, we do have the scalable system, so that is not an issue. The more the work we probably have to do around finding the resources for the human transcription, and we already built that scalable system. I don't know, we already talk about in that context, but we have that system in terms of even if someone dump in a day at least 50 to 100 hours of video. Yes, we are moving into that directions, but at the one point we will have that scalable system that we don't even have to worry about anything. The system, the software which we are building will manage end-to-end solution for the users. And even if the users have, I think we already have it in our system, but even if users have any feedback that I think so, here are the places where I think I need some more correction, or the speaker management is a little off at this 10%. So we send back to the transcriber update, and we will receive back. So what we are trying to do, I mean, yes, right now, we were in sort of the channel about the little bit of manual process for the validation side, but we are into the direction which will the whole automated solution for that many number of hours. So I to be honest, I'm not much worried about even that is 2,000 hours or number of hours. I see 2,000 to 20,000. That's what I see by end of the year. That's a target. So the 200 it's 10% of what I'm targeting. So
there we go.
That's
what I like
think.
to hear. I look forward to that, and I will feel relief. We won't spend too much more time on this, but just that experience, and we talked about this with Lauren, you and I, but just the first time we ever did it, the first time we ever tried to transcribe something to now, and there's a lot less suffering going on. So I'm very happy about that. So you've come in here. We really only have gotten through one topic, all right, which was this. We got on this. There's a couple things that I had on a list. I don't know if you saw, which was I've added a couple. You know what? I'm just going to jump into this to see what you guys think, because this one is exciting to me and is to me blown my mind in terms of 1 sec. I got a switch to make before I'm doing two things at once. I shouldn't do this. Is custom categories. So this is something that am I sharing the right screen? I hope so. The other one I'm reading Reddit. So, okay, good. So this is, this looks like probably way too much data for anyone who's looking at this screen, but this is one of the things that has been most exciting for myself, but for our whole team. And then also for some of our end users who are really trying to do deeper analysis. Of course there's the transcription part, which we've talked about, but we have text, audio, and video. And there also is a wonderful ability to extract almost anything that you want out of this media, anything that's language driven. So what we've been trying to do for a long time has been build in these custom categories that show that give our users the ability to really surface the things that are valuable to them. And so this week, with a bunch of research, I only wanted to take about 20 minutes into it, but we had some of these pre-built categories. Just a quick look was like the emotions. And then what words are connected to emotion that when said, when spoken, or when written and actually put in text should be grabbed and then displayed back to the user. And really built out some wonderful categories here. And then in the end, when you look in the insights panel, you can actually start to see. So hate was said in this moment. Hate is there we go. So hate, that was from the last week. And really, depending on what industry you're in, what you're trying to accomplish, you can actually build in your own custom categories. But one of the things that we're also working on, and Vatsal's doing a good job at doing this quickly, is taking the custom categories that we've built, building a global set of them, and then helping deploy to users very quickly so that they don't need to build out custom categories that are already high quality. So
Yes.
I'll stop there for a second and see if you guys have anything to add to this. Very exciting from my perspective.
Tyler put tons of hours finding this category. I see the excitement sitting next to him is like, as soon as he find some categories, is like unique categories he never seen, is like, yes, I found this new segment of the custom categories. That makes me excited. And like the beautiful part with our system is like we can deploy across the system within a minutes right now. It is still the backend process, but we are also in the same direction. It's like, oh, you want to dump this XYZ category, just select and you can dump into your account. And just on the custom category connected point is like, oh, what if I already analyze hundreds of media file and I want to put a new category called X, which has like 50 words. So should I go in each video or audio or text and click on the reanalyze? So no. So I mean, what we are also working, we have in our pipeline is like reanalyze all your media from your whatever the audio, video, and text, and that can be done within a half an hour. Depends on obviously the length of number of media, but I think so that is the two connected points what I see with that.
Tim, Lauren, anything you're thinking?
Yeah, those custom categories. So does that only appear on your own account then, or is that like updated throughout like
So
every account?
those right now are in the Success account. So Success is sort of the main harbinger. I hope that's right. Yeah, of all the most up-to-date version. And then, for example, a new customer comes in and they say they want emotions and filler words. All we have to do is, like Vatsal said, backend, but click and it drops into their account. By default, it's not in there, but there might be I think to me the stage that we get to is when you log in, you can just hit a check boxes of what categories you want to import, and it will automatically be there.
Sort of the same story, yes.
This is something that we're doing on very manually. Tyler is actually looking through websites and reads Reddit whole day just for that. And but this manual process results in having these categories, such as emotional ones, as well as more technical, such as actionable items. But it's interesting because the emotions are very much very unique to every niche person. And understanding what are, at least in English language, we do consider to be indicative of one emotion rather than the other is already quite of a breakthrough in terms of understanding of our users and just reflecting it back in the insights page on media. And I'm quite excited about this as well as the opportunity to quantitatively say and compare yourself to your previous self. It's like a time machine on a Mac. You're looking back through a file system, how it changed. But if you can imagine having a morning reflection, recording it with our audio video recorder every morning or evening, and going and having those regular updates on yourself, or your life, your profession, your career, your just tasks at hand, or whatever that you're doing in your area of expertise, and being able to compare that with in a timeline is something majestic, and also it enables you to understand yourself better, but as well as for the system to understand yourself better. And that means that eventually we'll have a symbiosis. That's the second time I'm using this. This word is being used in this in these hours between our users and the Speak AI.
I like when Tim gets romantic. That's very nice. The beautiful Russian love comes out in the passion for the product. Lauren, any thoughts that you have on here? Lauren, there's something before this, I guess there's one thing that I'm really interested in, which I think you probably have more expertise than I do, but I'm just trying to figure out, which is, I had thought before, and Tim, maybe you like this is interesting to you, but before I had thought about emotions and things like that, but I hadn't necessarily thought, like what came out for me this week was this: unsupported attributions. For example, this is basically when you attribute something to someone, but you don't make that attribution concrete. So it's like research has shown, but what research? like there's basically this ability for people to understand logical fallacies or like break down when someone's having a conversation if they were, for example, editorializing it. So were they talking objectively, or were they actually doing it in a way that they were adding their own sort of flavor or opinion onto it? And this was sort of just it was just a breakthrough for me of what's actually possible with these categories. And what was amazing is that these were defined through research and time and understanding of conversations and debates. Even the idea of puffery here, like when you add renowned or brilliant, you're throwing an individualized subjective meaning onto something, and it's actually no longer objective, it's detached from that. And it just was, I don't know what you guys, just a breakthrough for me in what's actually possible with the analysis and the actual categories that we have within Speak.
The thing with unsupported attributions, though, is that it's actually an introductory course into IELTS test. If anybody comes into US or Canada and tries to, or just prepares for an English exam, and I'm sure that in other languages it's the same story. I've just recently passed my IELTS once again, got 9 on part of it. The unsupported attributions is what we are being taught in the books to start our essays from. Most people feel the summer is worse than winter. And you start the thesis and whatever they are trying to sort of, it's all of the essays in IELTS are prompts. They start from prompts and they give you this sort of an argument to support, disprove, discuss, or otherwise. And it's very weird, but yeah, we're being taught to use unsupported attributions. Is that a good or a bad thing?
I wish I knew the answer. That's very interesting. I didn't know that. I don't know if Vatsa looks like he has something to say. I didn't know. Yeah.
That's a very good, interesting lens to look at. And when I see the unsupported, the intents and entities, the first thing come to my mind is at the lens of the enterprise users. So for the enterprise users who is doing more research, that can be more interesting because that is they are doing for some end results. They are expecting some end result at the end. That can be the research, that can be the small project. So that makes me exciting about looking at the angle of enterprise user. Because what happened, for example, you are doing interview, Tyler, let's say Lauren doing interview and team is doing interview under the same organization. But when you go to these different people into the different field, how does that come up at the end? How does that look like? If you are going to conclude as enterprise that number 1, number 2, and number 3 user research says that, but what is that? Is like more scientists says blah, 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 but it's like, what is that conclusion look like? And how many users says that I know this or I know that, or someone says that, but like who is that person is? So it's like, are they pointing to the same person under that hood of the research, or is that the different person every time? So that is maybe interesting. And to create a connections with the people and the brands, it's like, are they talking about the same people or brands in the same user interview when they says that many brands do this or do that? It's like, are they talking about the same brands? So that if I see at that angle, that is very interesting and very questionable, and a lot of things can be explored out of that research.
We have an application for this too. We were thinking about the entity linking part, the SEO that Speak AI can provide as just optimization of this, of indexing of the articles that you publish and push through Speak AI pipeline. The ability to say that, is it referenced? To ask, is it referenced? The ability to monitor for these claims and cornerstone cases in language and just make suggestions upon the improvement of your content is something.
I'm just, Lauren, I hear Lauren's perspective on this, but one part that I was just thinking of is like, I bet if you, for example, analyzed a marketer versus an accountant, what is the puffery percentage used? Right? Marketer, oh, great, everything, incredible. And then we got the accountant who's just objective, fact-based numbers, right? So there's some really powerful things there. And just, I mean, this was, we're doing the interview process right now. And after we interview someone, we're uploading into Speak. And just as one example, tentativeness is a category that's now in. So when someone says, I guess, or, you know, maybe, or perhaps, or I mean, or I personally, like, it's not, there's not that there's an assessment made from my perspective, but I can click back and hear that moment, and it takes me to a moment where there was a sign of uncertainty or unconfidence. Actually, I've clicked on that a lot, and half the time it was me saying it, but you know, very interesting to help you just pick out some things or some moments of interest depending on who you are, the outcome that you're looking from an interview or a conversation. Like, it just becomes this powerful mechanism. And now that these categories are built in, and I had that experience even with our own interviewing this week, like, I just could not replace this system for that process. So that felt like a really big breakthrough that I'm excited about. Hey, Vatzel, Tim, Lauren.
So what do you think, Lauren?
Lauren,
that's Lauren's chance.
He's the literary expert here. Come on, Lauren.
Yeah, I like how there's a whole bunch of different words you can be looking on just based on like who exactly is looking for it. So like, say, like you said, marketers versus accountants, you're probably looking for someone making more of appeals to emotions, and accountants, or just anybody within, I wouldn't say accountants really science, but just any sort of, what's the term again? What's that four-letter acronym for people in school? We're in like science, math.
Oh, STEM
STEM degrees. They're probably more looking on to the different aspects of rhetoric that's been brought up before. I can like, I was thinking that maybe we have too many categories. Maybe it can be shrunk down into some way, and then categories for categories. So like there's those appeals to logic. So there's logos, ethos, and pathos. So when they're saying like, oh, scientists say, oh, studies show, this is kind of like an appeal to logos. This is an appeal to someone's idea of logic. And then there's pathos. I kind of get confused between pathos and ethos. I think pathos is an appeal to emotion. So as if you're using flowery words like I love this or that, and this makes me feel this way or that. And then there's ethos, the appeal to ethics, which is probably going to be the most difficult to actually get a hold of. I can't think of any words that is an appeal to ethics. Maybe it's more like, at that point it's becoming more into like clauses, which comes up to that whole one grant we're thinking of applying to for the government, where they're looking more to extract whole clauses as opposed to just words. But yeah, I'm curious to see like who we're working with and what of these categories they're actually most interested in, because I'm assuming that just like for people qualitative analysis, probably like therapists and whatnot, they're mostly concerned with like emotions and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't know who would even care about ethos. Who would care about categories of ethics and thinking what is right and what is wrong.
We'll find them.
Yeah, like politicians, they'd probably be the most interested in swaying someone based on ethics.
No, I think so too. And the one experience that I had this week was an organization who's doing mental health research, and they're actually trying to help. The way that they basically said it, which was amazing, was that they're looking for epiphanies that users are having. So how do you find epiphanies within media, large, like 15 hours of audio or video? How do you find an epiphany? And what an amazing question, right? Like that. So through some of the categories that we've built, there's that possibility. But Vatzel, in the last 2 weeks, you added the sound waves. And so you can be a big spike. You see a big spike in the sound wave. And typically that has almost always been laughter, or at the counter, which is the sadder version, which is like anger or someone yelling, those spikes. So all of a sudden there are a visual representation of epiphanies, or more likely to find epiphany, and then categorical records or instances as well too. And then one last part, Lauren, is what you've said about, I completely agree on the subcategorization and category level. Right now we don't have a hierarchy. Like all those emotions are just equal in that, but there should be an emotion sort of main category within the subcategories of different emotions within it.
We get to a point where we're going to have way too many categories, and it's just kind of information overload. We don't really know what we're looking for.
Yes, it's a lot to look at like this already. And even now the bar, like the insights panel in our specific account, because we have so many categories, is like longer than the actual transcript. So one of the things that we're now getting asked is, how can you order So the one company was saying, we value these categories over other categories. So we want these to display first in the insights panel. And then additionally, can we just filter, for example, with the checkbox, the emotion category and all the emotion subcategories? And now you're only displaying that in the insights panel. So it does become a filtering mechanism that's needed to display only the information that actually matters.
But that's the thing. The part where you're building the relationships between categories and categories themselves can be prioritized over the others. That's the part where it's the part of patterning between these, and the patterns is what defines the concepts in which particular groups of words are present meaning that, for example, logos, pathos, ethos. This is a pattern, and you can fit in different groups of words. For example, critical, analytical, and conversational thinking from James Pennebaker is also a pattern, and you can fit almost same words, more or less, but slightly different groups of those words into it, and get good results. And it's a very natural process that humans had evolved to do, to have multiple meanings for every each point of reference. And it's the relationships between them that define it. So the next iteration is to have the patterns based upon the custom categories that we have now.
I would love to see the one more layer down, because what we are talking about here is like the words throughout the audio and video clip. We are not talking about, so for example, if Tyler is interviewing person X, how many words person X talk about the puffery words, but how many words Tyler talk about those? So what is that comparison look like? If we are missing that part, once we get that label, then we can make a pattern about, okay, the individual accounts is the one thing, but when we talk about on the enterprise or those account side, they need the separations of the speaker. It's like we do have on the back end, but we still don't do at that level the insights categorization. So on the inside panel, we should have the speaker 1, 2, 3. And if they choose, let's say speaker 1, I don't want to dig down into the UI side, but like the overall idea is like, if you choose speaker 1, let's say Tyler, then it should show everything what Tyler says in terms of the insights. That can be custom categories, or that can be anything, right? On the inside panel, that can be same as the sentiment analysis, or maybe the sentiment analysis comparison side by side. Is like, how does that flow goes? Is like, is that depend on the first speaker and the second speaker? If they start talking about the negative sentiment, so it's like, oh, speaker 2 also start, you can see that pattern, oh, that's going down or that's going up. So those sort of comparisons between that can be default categories, custom categories, sentiment analysis, so the same differentiations on the dashboard too. It's like, oh, these are the words you spoke last month versus these words, but this is speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3, speaker 4, like so.
Yeah, the comparison part is just so beautiful. Like, you know, us all 4 of us have this. We have this conversation. There's 4 of us, and then Vatsal, you came in later, so you'd have less talk time and less, you know, output. But you know, we analyze that all. We label the speakers properly, and then we can see. Again, I'm probably going to be the leader in puffery. I don't know who would be, you know, like there would be some amazing breakdowns that could happen there. Tyler ranked number 1 in puffery, 25% more puffery per sentence than Tim. Fatzel in 3rd, and Lauren at the lowest level with the least amount of puffery, right? So there's like, I don't know. I know some of that stuff might just seem fun, but there are real applications to this.
Yeah.
Like in so many ways too. So again, that's just a fun example. And we've had people who say, I want to start recording conversations with my friends. And I could see them getting pure joy out of this. And then at a business level, there's like real data and analysis that can come out that can change business outcomes on a massive scale. Yeah.
I just want to add on that thing on the recording side. When you say the friends, we have a couple of users who sign up this week, and I was just doing some analysis on like why they signed up, what they're doing here, from where they come from. So I was just doing a little bit of research, and a couple of things I got from that connected dot here is a couple of people who just signed up for the embeddable recorder. They're trying to say that I want to put on my website, I want to get the user feedback. So it's like, is there any pattern they can find between the different users and their role with the locations? So if the people is in Canada, they talk about the website, the same layout, but the perspective and the angle of looking at the same website is different than someone is sitting in the California or someone is sitting in Russia or India, something like that. So how does that change based on even the locations? The same thing, same words, same website.
So there's just two ways I'm thinking of how we look tackle, because I've been thinking about this a lot too, which is, does a user self-represent? So right now we ask for email and full name and email. So you can say, but you don't say any categories, like should there be a drop down, my age, gender, etc. And if you want an embeddable recorder that can grab those qualities, you just put those as inputs and then they self-represent. The second option would not be as accurate, is like using a system like Google Analytics and tying the embeddable recorder and then pulling those demographic profiles together. And then there's one other layer, which is so fascinating to me. This is hard to articulate fully, but helping the one company with an advertising campaign and doing analytics, and they wanted to see how many technology or technophiles had visited their site. And so was able to pull that through a Google Analytics report. Now, the question that I'm starting to think about is based on categorizations. Now, this is a jump. And so to challenge me on this is like, can we, if we did an interview with someone, could we actually help categorize them into some of those pre-built categories? So like, for example, people who are technophiles talk about technology 25% more than someone who's not a technophile. And through a conversation or through a customer research interview or something, could you actually categorize them into a market audience kind of thing? That's raw. So I don't have any thoughts on that.
That is more, I think, so directions towards finding the user segment. If I'm correct, it's like finding the user segment. Where does that user particularly fit? Is that the product?
Like I'll just say like Google Analytics or LinkedIn, for example, you have a list of 100 industries or skill sets or affinities or interests that they have. So say Google Analytics and LinkedIn, and then say you're a company and you do 100 interviews with 100 different people. Could you then use those interviews to partition them into those categories almost automatically, based off analysis of what was said in it? So we just did 100 interviews, 25%. They use a lot of puffery and they're X, so they fit into the marketing category, whereas X fits into technology. I haven't thought.
Isn't it like when those companies do the interview, then they already know that what is their role? So for example, if we are doing with the interview with the Lauren, so we know that is going to be much more about the real numbers, the real story, or the financial side. So isn't it like, because they already know that? Yeah, no, maybe. So it's like,
yeah, no, and that's why I'm just thinking of that as I pulled that report for them and saw all these categories and how valuable it was to this company of them trying to take audiences that they didn't know. So this is, like you said, in a lot of customer research and stuff, they have actually personally recruited people who fit categories, so they already have those insights. But sometimes there's insights coming back where they don't have those categories. So say you had the embeddable recorder, you didn't have any things picked on for demographics or interest or anything like that. And now you're trying to figure out what category they fit into. How could you make that happen? And how could you make that as quickly and efficiently happen through just analysis of what was said? And again, I think there's some big leaps there and probably a really big error rate that is possible, but just something really interesting to think about. I'll shut up for that now. I'll come back with more. You see me in 3 weeks. I'll come back on this in office hours number 10. I'll have that thought, that board out. Tim, Lauren, any thoughts on that? I know we've been going here for a bit. This has been one of my favorite conversations we've had yet. So I've been enjoying this a lot. Anything you think on those 2 points or anything, Tim, Lauren? No. Okay. All right. We'll get one more thing because I'm deep into this, and then we can end this. And I'm sorry, this has some ego part for me, and it's also like you guys hear me talk about this too. No. It's nothing bad. It's just this video that I recorded, which I don't need to do the whole thing.
Todd, hi.
So I was using
angry, sad.
Right.
This is one.
So just as some context, this is the live present mode in Speak. And this was an MVP that Fatso and I put together over a weekend about a year ago. About a year ago. And I'll just hit
Being
the
able
final
to
part.
manipulate color, sound, images, and more. Mind blowing.
There we go. So
This is my favorite part.
so, I got. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to play it again. I got a lot of feedback and comments back. So one of the things that, first of all, was just like, there's been times where this has sat in our Speak platform and people have looked at it and been like, what the hell is this? Like, why is this here? What does this do? Is this ever going to, it's almost like this raw, unfinished thing in our system. And we, just because of priorities and things, like, we have never really spent too much more time refining it. But to me, it is one of the actual more powerful opportunities that we have with the foundation that we've laid at Speak. And I think is something that not only can be this powerful content creator tool to create in real time original content with almost no friction, but it also becomes this self-reflection mechanism that can actually help you understand yourself better and heal. And so I just want to take a minute to sit on this. First of all, any thoughts by anyone here on this? Let me know.
I would love to take an opportunity here. I just want to go a little bit back a year at only. And it's like, it looks pretty awesome now, but there are like many technical challenges to fit the real-time transcription with the images that is also fit with the colors. You also can play the video clips. It's all in one solution to do the content creations or some creativity here. But I would love to connect the point with what we have now is the in-app recorder. And what we can have probably in a couple of months is the link between the embeddable recorder and the present mode. So even if you are doing the present mode, you can put the whole video clip of your whole presentation back to the Speak, and you can use in many ways. The whole output channel is already there. And the second point is with the real-time transcription plus the present mode is just the mind-blowing. That's
mind-blowing gift. One part that is you didn't add that is actually one of the most beautiful things, which we didn't actually even connect this at one point, but is no, we all connected it, but it was somewhat subconscious, is also the hyperlinking part. Which now that we've got a database of entities that we can grab references to and then also images, you could basically, without having to hard code or user define information in, retrieve images and more automatically by understanding the meaning or phrases or keywords, which is just beautiful. It's
really awesome. But on another scale, there are a complexity and the challenges on the technical side to fit those videos, or how to choose. If you choose the Toronto, you have your own image that can be Harborfront. That is the different image for Lauren. That's maybe the different image for team. It's like, how do you pick those particular words? I mean, Toronto is very generic, but if you go a little bit layered down, and if you're talking about a very particular word, a computer or something like that. So it's like, how does that fit? So it's like how we can make a call on behalf of Lauren that, oh, Toronto would be this, not what you think. So it's like, how to answer those questions is, I think so in my view, is the challenging thing.
Well, the one that stuck out to me was like a dog, because if you have a dog, you want to see your own dog. You don't want to see someone else's dog. So there's like the challenge. I think there's that system you can do with a manual override. Like words that are really important to you, you're going to do a manual override to display what you truly care about. The ones that I will, that stick in my mind, and just to share the screen, just a couple comments that people left after sharing this, which was, this was an amazing comment. So like, do we lose subtleties through this? What an amazing question this is, right? So because I posted this and I said happy, and it flicks automatically just to yellow, she's basically saying, are we losing subtleties of human emotion or of the human experience? Like, what a powerful question that she actually asked. And just something that I wanted to address quickly, which, I think this is important as we talk about, Lauren, you're talking about like the ethics, of technology. That this is something actually a big responsibility I actually see here. And just simply a quick thing is like, happy, it switches to yellow very quickly. But depending on the velocity of happiness that was analyzed or understood, there should be a difference in how much yellow was displayed or how quickly the yellow actually appears on the screen. Does it gradually fade in, or does it come in at a high velocity depending on what you said? Yeah, that's just one thought that I have. And I don't know if you have anything to add to this.
Yeah, it seems like these changes can only really be brought about from like one word actions, really. Is there any way that the screen could change based on whole, again, clauses, whole sentences, whole
Yeah.
ideas, instead of
Yes.
just, one word? Like that's kind of the idea with the whole speak too, is that we're just extracting like one word tidbits and then throwing that into the analytics there. Is there any way that we can go a bit farther and get together a whole string of words, and then there's different meanings based on the different collection of words? Like one word has one meaning, but then you put two words together, it has a different meaning. You have a whole sentence together, it holds a whole different type of meaning there. So
you can look at Tim and Vats and I. We're all just
meaning,
ready to jump.
Meaning making the same.
Yeah.
He wants to add something. Timothy.
Well, that's the part. I mean, customization. We need to understand the user first. We need to sort of It's the part where your speak becomes part of your life. Like it needs to know your dog by the name and by the photo, by its face, by the paw. Like you leave a fingerprint of everything that matters to you, your friends, your people, and it is, a social network is just like that. You leave your fingerprint, but we're aiming it, as we've said, to sort of create relationships of what you see in this creative process, because that's what Speak is really attempting to accomplish here is to, with the presentation mode, is to enable the creativity, but online as you go. You can leverage your own speech and create what you are thinking about. And we actually should connect the in-app recorder and present mode together eventually.
Yeah.
But the idea where you're mentioning things like your dog, like Tyler, that's Lauren, and you're mentioning the things you're working upon as well. I'm working on this task, on that task. I'm going this place. I'm going to hike there. I'm going to ski here. It's all of these different types of entities that we enable our users to surface through our named entity recognition and the insights panel on the text editor or the media. All of this eventually, right now it's quite objective, and we're gathering it from an objective source. I think it's okay to say that it's okay to say that we're using Wikipedia as the data source to compare against. But getting the tapping into, for example, your photo library. I have on the Macintosh, and it's a beautiful photo library application that comes with the system, and it categorizes. It has a very nice way of presenting the images from summer, from this season, from this city, with these people, and it groups them and it presents to you. And so this grouping is if we could tap into things like these that already exist in Apple ecosystem, Google ecosystem, Microsoft ecosystem, that already learn more about you and personalize their content to you. We could personalize your content to you through Speak, sort of in a, it's the part where any system must know you so well. It's the part of the being a second brain to you, your second brain. No, but not somebody else's one.
Do you think you're jumping ahead a little bit too much as far as like thinking about, say I have a sentence, I say that, and then Tyler says the same sentence, but you're saying that like the system has to be able to differentiate between two different people that'll have two different meanings from those two different sentences spoken. It's the same sentence spoken by two different people, but can't we just, that's what I'm saying, jumping ahead, can't we just focus on the one sentence first, and then after that we can focus on the individual?
Hey, don't you dampen Tim's spirit. I love where you're going with it, Tim. For one thing though, to answer your original question, Lauren, you can actually program whole sentences in to Speak and use that as a trigger. The problem is if you vary from that sentence, the system is not intelligently and Vatzel talks more about this with like Alexa and intents basically. Like you program a sentence, it's almost hard programmed in. So any deviation from that sentence and you will not get the result that you're looking for. The next level that we need to get to is the intelligent intent system that allows us to say this was the same meaning and then display the actual image there. And just add, Tim, actually, I know that you went a little into the future there, but I actually think that's genius because, if you look at Google, how they're analyzing the photo library, they have words, you type in the words, one word shows all the images that represent that word. So if you have a picture of a mushroom in a picture, if you type in mushroom, it shows all the pictures of mushrooms. It could tap into your library and show your favorite mushroom, right? So I actually think that's beautiful. I agree. It's a little out there in a bit, but I love it. So I will.
Back to you though, to understand the sentence, it is a very fundamental part, and the meaning making Vatzel just been alluring to is what we're. So everybody expresses differently, and everybody expresses emotions differently as well. And something that we can do already, and we will eventually, is to have an understanding of the presets of sort of create connections, create the maps of meaning by the words that you say, of what you say and what you talk about the most. The correlations between entities is something that we are very unique at because we even use words in same patterns all the time. Actually is a pattern of using words, connecting. It's analytical thinking more or less because you're trying to actualize the concept and make it a fact or something, sort of the grounded. And most of the time, and you can express these meanings of words, connecting ideas, and sort of the way that you connect the two ideas and use particular word from a particular custom category is we have this data. We just need to build those relationships and have the opportunity to say that, to correlate it with all the meta information that we have, meaning that this sentence means that I'm sad at this part of the day, but it doesn't mean that I'm sad next time of the day.
Correct.
Or season.
That's I know you got some stuff to say here.
I definitely agree, Tim. But the point what we are not having enough is the data of the user on the technical side. I mean, theoretically, I 100% agree as your sign, but what we don't have enough is like, what is the definition of dog for you? What were you did in last summer? What you wrote the notes on Speak last summer, so that the system is so much intelligent, can tell you that, Tim, last summer you went to ski at this place. How about this week? And it's like maybe the comparison between when you write a note or record a video is like your emotions or your keywords were like this last summer versus today because you went today and you recorded the clip into the Speak, right? So that the future is always be amazing. And what is the context even with the present mode, finding the custom category, finding the meaning. And Lauren, I agree with you about having the two words or having the meanings. That's sort of the meaning making machine we are working on with, even with the custom categories and even finding the entity between your notes and media. But what we don't have enough is the data about you or data about the user. So as much as you write more on the Speak or record more, you are empowering your own system for understanding. That's a one side of it, but even improving on the other side. So I think so that.
Yeah, that's I know you got to go, so you're going.
Yeah.
Okay.
How are we doing here with the
we're almost done. I have one other point that I think is really important here. It sounds like Timothy has something to say as well. Two things that I'm thinking that is also not happening. That present mode, that video that I shared looked magical, but if you see, I was taking very slow pauses between the words that I was saying. And the reason is because we're not looking within a sentence to grab a keyword out. You actually need to hit it right at the right time. I need to say Tyler and then make a pause and then say happy. If you're, no, don't do that to me. Okay, that's all right. Go ahead.
There are two ways right now in existing system. Even if you speak, my name is Tyler, the system is right now intelligent enough to understand that you said Tyler in the sentence. If you say the complex and if you're too quick, that might miss in the sentence. But if you're like, hey, this is Tyler, blah, blah, blah. So the system is right now not that intelligent, but 50%, 70% probability that it will pick from the sentence right now. But if you're going too fast, as we normally speak,
As I do, yeah.
that is a little tricky.
Yeah. And then the last part that I was fascinated by, I'm done now, I swear, is so if someone says I'm happy, no, someone says I'm sad. Someone says I'm sad. What do you display? Do you display blue to represent their mood, or do you display yellow to cheer them up? So I think this is such an interesting thing. There needs to be a toggle for reflect or contrast or counteract. And I just think what an amazing technical concept, but I don't know, it's such a beautiful thing to think about. So that's my last point, and that actually came up in one of the responses from people too.
I just wanted to add before that, when Timothy talked about the meaning of emotions varies by person to person. When you presented that with the happy and that comment, the first comment, as like the green or the blue is happy for me, the black is happy for me sometimes, right? Because the black, the different, your favorite color is vary by person to person. You might like blue, Timothy might like gray, or Olivia white. So it's like how you can decide, or how is like there's supposed to be a system is like in right now with what we have is like, what is your understanding of the color? And when you talk about the gray, the gradient or the mixing of the color, how does that looks like? Because the rainbow has like 7 colors, but 7 colors has the unique characteristics. And when you mix that, that is just another level of power.
Yeah. And there's people who are colorblind also. So I just thought about that.
Light up a lamp in the room.
Timothy, don't even get me too fired up on that. Well, it's coming. So the speak present mode that we're showing on screen in a software interface is a connection point for what will be connections into hardware and be able to do some truly incredible things. See that puffery there? Truly incredible puffery.
I think we also have to share a video, like our last point. I think we also have to share a video how you can create your own present mode with your own understanding about the colors and pictures, and how you can do the same thing what Tyler said yesterday on LinkedIn and Twitter. So
no, I'm with you, and I hadn't actually. It's such a beautiful point about the colors and how what different colors mean to different people. So it's profound stuff. So okay, I'm good in that regards. I don't think there was anything else. Anything else that anyone has to say before we wrap this up? This was a fun one. I'm so glad. Yeah. Tim, good. Lauren's got to get back to some transcribing. Batzel, you're good?
I missed the first 15 minutes, but it's fantastic conversations about the transcript editor, the present mode and everything. So it's awesome.
Tim? Okay.
Cool.
Okay, guys. Great to see you all. This was Office Hours number 7. Number 8 next week. Thank you for joining me. We ended up with the full crew. I thought I was going to be completely alone. So this is great.
We all are here.
Yeah. Okay. Great to see you guys. Have a good rest of the day.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.